Welcome back to Bonanza Disc Golf. Today, we are taking a look at a couple Trilogy discs. I haven't done Trilogy in a minute, and I used to be a big Trilogy guy. Not really massively anymore, but we're looking at the Opto Saint here, and we're gonna see if 7 Glide is legit. 9, 7, -1, 2 are the numbers on this guy. Kind of like the older brother of the River, which I have bagged for a while, trying to find a replacement for it. But we're gonna compare that with the Escape, which I believe is 9, 5, -1, 2. Similar numbers, similar company. I'm just not sure if that 7 Glide is gonna be super real. It is a little windy here at Tom Brown Park. We're gonna play 5 holes from the longs and try to see how these guys fare and how they're different at all. But also, this is a bag it or bin it for the Saint to see if the 7 Glide is legit and if I can't beat par with either of these discs. Bob is the patron who requested the bag it or bin it, and because it's Patreon sponsored, that means if I can't beat par with the Saint or the Escape, they're going to him. Let's see how they feel against one another real fast, because someone just played through. The Saint does have more dome for sure. The molds themselves will feel very similar, but I know that this was one of the first molds that Dynamic made, probably before they were even Trilogy, before Latitude was a part of it. And so imagine the Saint, if anything, is probably a copy-ish of the Escape, and they look, wow, they look very similar. The Saint just looks slightly domier. This isn't a lucid plastic. It is a couple years old. I don't think that matters much. I'm just interested to see if this really is so much glidier than the Escape. I imagine not, but this is not the Supreme Escape. Haven't got my hands on one of those. Maybe we'll make a review, but seems like that's pretty well covered on YouTube so far. Hole 1, 355, straight down the hill into a headwind, so gonna be even more hyzer than I already put. I always underestimate the overstability of -1, 2 discs. I always think they're gonna be flippy because they have that -1, and I don't think they're gonna be. So I think I could try the big hyzer, but we're just gonna try to go up the gut with both of them. Call this a Mando on the left of that. And one thing that makes me nervous about Glide and the wind is we have all this OB. Don't want to go OB off the first hole. We are downhill, probably only need to give it about 300 feet of power, maybe only 250 if this is actually that glidey. Wind is slightly died, so we're gonna go with it. Okay, a little turn on the hand. Did not throw that hard. Sit down though, please don't go OB. Good. Not a lot of wind as I threw, and it did flip up a bit. I did throw it on some hyzer. I think if I throw these flat, they'll actually get that turn and that come back. So that's probably the shot I'm looking for, but now the wind is slightly back, so we'll see how the Escape fares. Yeah, that's pretty flat into the headwind. I'm not sure what's the wind and what's the disc, which is why we got a bunch more holes, and they landed pretty similar locations. The Saint did go farther though. I don't think I threw it farther, and there was more headwind, but the Saint did go farther. So I know I didn't really talk too much about the profiles of these discs, and that's because they look and feel almost identical. The plastics are what makes the difference between them, and that little bit of extra dome on the Saint, which does make things more glidey. I just don't know if it's like 2 steps glidier or if it's actually like 7 Glide. Okay, boy, how I wish that was in this position, because I am parked for both of those. Probably wouldn't have thrown a worse shot though, so yeah, just slightly further. Not even really by much at all though, so insignificant differences so far. I thought that was staying up. That's it. Let's go. That's a really good putt. Also, I know people ask before and they're like, why does your making a 55-foot putt matter for how the discs do? And to be honest with you, it doesn't affect how I think about the discs. It just makes these reviews way more fun if there are like stakes to them and if you are keeping score. People are like, oh, circle 2, circle 1 should be points. I don't really take points into account. I just want to see how these things fly and what I think that they're best used for, which is why I don't just do it like 1 or 2 holes. I do 5 or 6 because that gives me time to iron out all the differences in my throws so I know what's like my poor throwing, because I can say something on one hole that's completely not true, and then I'll correct it by the end of the video and have normally a pretty good idea because I have a large enough sample size of me throwing the discs against one another. That doesn't have anything to say about how good these discs are, because most of the time it is just my putting, because I get a lot of circle 2 looks when I play with new discs that I've never thrown before. All right, hole 2 here is kind of a good hole to test these guys out on. 335 feet, you have this corridor and a low ceiling right there with this branch that's just kind of hanging out really menacingly, making this window this big. So that's kind of unfortunate. Basket straight down there, it does slope away from there, so you probably want to have something that I throw flat, turns, and then comes back, which is what these discs say that they're going to do. Simple, straight shot. Okay, the headwind turned that disc a lot last time. The headwind in the downhill. I thought that I was gonna turn it. It was very straight. I didn't throw it very hard. I probably threw it what felt like about 310, 320 feet of power for a flippier disc, and it wasn't that. Like I said, I underestimate the overstability. I'm gonna try to correct slightly and throw this one a little bit harder, or just slight anhyzer. Yes. That is definitely glidey. That's a, wow. Oh, root. was a rude root. That was a really pretty looking shot. That's kind of exactly what I wanted it to do. The Saint might be slightly more understable, but sometimes stability and glide get intertwined. This, I feel like, is probably more glidey than it is understable, meaning it's just gonna hold that line for a very long time before it fights back, which is kind of like the baby version of a Grace, which is a distance driver that I've really been liking for a while, basically ever since I got them. All right, looks like we're putting straight into a headwind. Also, this bag, as well as a lot of other stuff that I use for disc golf, is linked in the description with affiliate links. If you wanna pick them up, you will help to support my channel big time. Step out and forehand this escape. I kind of tried to run it, but that should be a makeable putt. No worries. Practice your putting, folks. So we're gonna go forehand. So right there, it's 270 feet. So good forehand distance with this disc. I think if I throw it out flat, it should have enough torque to turn it over and come back. So I'm gonna throw it probably aiming about 20 feet to the left of the basket, where the basket is. This is the problem with doing form work and filming, because I have 17 things in my head and I did none of them correctly. Those are all right. I think I'm gonna set you guys up as a catch cam and try again. I was focused on like one thing in my forehand walk up and it just did not let me throw a good forehand at all. I have so much form work to do in this off season. I'll play these out and then I'm gonna set you guys up as a catch cam. Well, all right, big putt here for the Saint. Don't want a bogey. Let's go. Two left, or two right. Oh, I slipped in that follow through too. All right, we'll take the par. Woo-hoo. That was a good putt with the Saint. Big yikes, let's try his forehand real fast. All right, here's the Saint. That's really good. Whoa, that got a lot of lift from that. Much better. They're very neutral discs, I think. Oh, look at that, I can actually play disc golf sometimes. Freaking tail of two different tosses. What I've realized with these discs, and with most -1-2 fairway drivers that are 9 speeds, they're very neutral. And them, more than most other discs, do, for my arm speed, I guess, what they purport to do, where if I throw them relatively hard, they're gonna turn a bit and then come back harder than they turn, because -1 is obviously less than 2. This is a math channel now. But across these next 2 holes, I just wanna see how much more difference there is, because I do definitely feel like the Saint, I'm sure my forehand was slightly different on that last one, but the Saint actually held better. It didn't flip over as much, probably slightly more nose up. And it also does seem that tick more glidey. I don't know if it's 5 to 7, it's probably more 5 to 6. I don't know if I'd be confident enough to say that 7 glide is a lie, but I haven't noticed a significant difference in the results of my throws with the Saint as compared to the Escape on similar lines. All right, so here we have just about 305 feet straight up this gap. Part of me wants to kind of try the forehand with these guys again. I think I'm going to, because the way that this shapes here, much better for the forehand, because you have that early tree left with those branches that jut out, and then those late trees right with branches that jut out. So if you have more of an S-shaped forehand, as long as you're up by that last white tree down there, or slightly past it, you're really happy. Saint still has the box. Part of me wants to try to turn these over slightly, and I think I'm actually gonna have to. If I'm only throwing 300 feet, I'm actually gonna put them on slight anhyzer. Not crazy anhyzer, because I'm gonna burn them over, but very slight flat to Annie instead of hyzered. Let's just have a good shot here. Oh, hit something, please, hit something. No. That's OB. Guess that stabled out a little more than I thought, or I didn't throw it as hard as I thought. It's pretty close to pin high, but I definitely needed more turn. Like I said on the first freaking hole, I always underestimate the overstability of these discs. Okay, that Escape that I have is definitely flippier than the Saint. That's a great shot though. That's a really, really good shot. That's what I wanted it to do. I'm gonna have to make a putt for par, otherwise I need a birdie on the last hole with the Saint. Oh, actually it's a par 5. It's a par 5, which, well, that's fun. We haven't really played a lot of those. It's 905 foot par 5. So based on yesterday's video, I should be able to take my medicine and take an easy birdie since it's 905 feet, 300, 300, 300, but we'll see. So here's our Sainty boy. It literally went out right between these freaking things. I think it's this line, but we're gonna play it as it's the road. Stay up with the headwind, dude. Oh, how did that not stay up? Why is that dropping? Ah, it's probably because it's a cross. So once that hyzer angle got down, shoot. Birdieville. Dang it, man. My putting's feeling all right today. Feeling really good. All right, last hole. This kind of sucks. Literally since I started playing that last hole, 3 vehicles have come into the fairway. I mean, this isn't a normal fairway for this course, but this is where we're really gonna see if that 7 glide is different. So far, I think I like the Escape over the Saint, which kind of surprises me because I much prefer Latitude just in general to DD. Probably just the branding thing, like these just look super clean. But they're both very similar flights. This one definitely just has that stick more of glide. I think that they got the numbers correlated correctly. Maybe not the flight numbers actually correct though. We have this one branch to miss. We have to get up there because our basket, there's a T sign right by that middle cluster of trees that goes to where our basket goes. It's 910 foot par 5. There's no T sign here because this is just for the Open at Tallahassee. Okay, that person's moving, so that's actually helpful because I don't want to hit any cars. That is just a clean shot. Not the farthest shot in the world, but it's on a ledge, so we should have a simpler run up. We're gonna see if this gets farther. Maybe try to throw it a little higher. It popped up to flat, but then it didn't really turn much, which makes sense with the tailwind, especially it's like tail cross. So maybe should have turned it a bit. Okay, that one is maybe thrown, what the heck? What? That's on that same exact level. That was just crazy. That's the difference between the glide too. I haven't tried the Supreme Escapes yet, but I like the Escape slot, honestly. All right, so these are actually some pretty solid shots. I ranged from right here where I'm standing. It's 350 feet back to the tee pad, and so that's 370 feet, very uphill. Pretty solid. Definitely just needed to continue to work and take rest days because I took 2 days off and now I'm feeling pretty solid. That tee pad right there is about 350 feet into the basket from up there. So I think, I don't see or remember any Mandos. I think we could go through this straight gap here on some turn, but I think probably the safest play is just the big hyzer there, getting over those trees. I'm not 100% sure about it, but that just seems far. Like, I don't know how far that is. I'm not gonna range it right now because I'm a little lazy and people are on my tail. No, I think we're gonna try to go through that gap. I think we can hit it. Get around the tree. Oh, did not hit the gap, but I did get around the tree, which is definitely lucky. I totally missed my line. I need to continue working on those anhyzer shots. So now we're different. Now that's bigger, and now that gap is bigger too. For the birdie, then that's gonna get knocked down by the tailwind. I think it has to be through that gap. Oh, it was not that gap. I thought I hit that pole. I thought I squared that pole, but that should be a relatively routine up and down for the 4. I think this is the first par 5 that we've had in a bag or minute. Congrats for that, to me, I guess, and to you. I don't know. Love you, subscribe, please, yay. I do think that really showed the glide on that Saint because it just kind of held turn. Other discs in that category that aren't as glidey probably would start to fade out a little bit faster. They would have hit that pole, but it didn't. All right, basket now we can see just to the left of that big, big tree. There's a forehand for sure. It's also just a backhand that skips around that tree, but you gotta keep it low. And there's OB behind it, a lot of OB. So I think we're gonna play the backhand to be safe. That's very short, oh no. All right, that's farther than I thought. I should have ranged that, holy cow. I'm definitely glad we played the Escape first in that case. All right, we can't see the basket anymore. It's behind that tree. That is a big guardian tree. I wish I was a little farther. I think the forehand is the play. I'm just worried about that one low branch. So if I can get under that branch and not go too far, we should have a pretty simple look. Yes, that is so good, Anthony. That's so good. All right, got a simple little 20-footer over there. Could have pushed further, but I didn't have to. So outside the circle look here for a birdie. Dang it. Basically tap in range though. That lifted so much out of my hand. What a good birdie. So, Saint versus Escape. I honestly, for both of these discs, I'd probably say bag it. Probably more so for the Escape, surprisingly. But a lot of it just comes down to that extra glide, right now for me at least, isn't really necessary. I think if you can only throw 9 speeds and you want a max distance driver that you can like worry about ripping on, not in the wind, the Saint is a really good choice. I don't think the 7 glide is legit, probably closer to 6 glide. It's not like anything crazy special from what I've seen. And it's just like a tick more than the Escape, but not significantly so, at least at my arm speed, and that's kind of how I'm throwing these. I did throw them a little bit shorter than I thought, but I was able to throw them on the forehands and the backhands. Both of these I would say bag it though, and luckily I beat par, so I'll be able to hang on to them for a bit. Really solid discs. And we got a Pro Tour birdie with the Saint. If you want to check out my last video that I filmed here, all about whether you should putt better or drive further, and a good example on the finishing hole of this course as to why, check that out right up here. My last bag it or bin it though, check that out right down here. Actually, don't. Check out my AGL video. That was a really good video with some cool plastic. I literally just stopped recording and an acorn fell into my bag. Like in between that carabiner right there. What the heck? Okay, love you.